So, we're talking about the Shiras Halavim, what they sang every day in the Beis Hamikdash. And last time we were talking about the Shir Shel Yom, what we say in davening, and
I'm sorry, just a minute. Rosh Hashanah
Perfect timing.
until 152.
15 Shira Malot.
15 Shir
for
Hamah.
2,000 years. Abai Amar Tzorei Paru.
Yeah, that's the top of the page.
Okay, good.
I'm saying they're 15 steps, and they're equivalent to the Shira Malot that we read.
Right.
Right.
So where are we reading about that, about the 15?
No, I'm just saying they're 15 steps. This is the difference. They do the Hayom Yom every day.
Yeah.
They do the Hayom.
But the main thing is that it's a Shir. It's a Shir.
Exactly.
So that's every day of the week, and last week we were discussing the machlokes about Shabbos. If Shabbos is referring to the future or referring to the past, are we talking about the Shabbos of creation or the Shabbos of Mashiach? Okay, so now where it's the brackets, b'musfi de Shabbata. On the bottom, having clarified the opinions regarding the psalm for the Talmud of Shabbos morning, the Gemara turns to the psalms of what we sung with the other Shabbos offerings. So what about Musaf? The Musfi de Shabbata, Maha Yu'imrim. With the Musaf offerings on Shabbos, what psalm would the Levium recite? So, hey, why they don't bring the name of the rabbis here? Amarav Anan Barava Amarav Haziv Lach. They recite the 6 past Torah passages from the song of Haazinu that are represented by the mnemonic Haziv Lach. The radiance is yours. Hazivlach. So, what is Hazivlach? We look at footnote 19. The song of Haazinu is divided into 6 parts. The mnemonic Hazivlach contains the first letter of each part. These are: Haazinu is the Hey, 2 is Zachar Yomai Sa'ilam, 3 is Yarkiveu, 4 Vayar Hashem Vayinat, 5 Lule Kas Ayev, and 6 Ki Yadin Hashem Amai. This is, according to Rambam, the 5th section begins with Lu Chachmu, and 6 begins with Ki Esa. Right, because we have a Lamed and a Chaf, there could be different psukim that it's referring to. Marsha points out that a song from the Torah, as opposed to Tehillim, was selected to accompany the Shabbos Musaf offering and the Shabbos afternoon Talmud as stated below, because this day is holier than the others. So before we were saying Shir Shel Yom, where is that taken from? That's from Tehillim. But by Musaf of Shabbos, because Musaf is on a higher level and it's of Shabbos, so that's why we say a part of the Torah. Rabbeinu Bachya writes that the words formed by the mnemonic Hazivlach, the radiance is yours, refers to the content of the songs of Haazinu. So sometimes you could think, it's just the Rosh Tevis. Hazivlach is just the first letters, but it actually, even the Rosh Tevis, even the mnemonic spells out something. Hazivlach, what is the radiance is yours? That inasmuch as the song contains a promise for the redemption from the current exile, when the Jewish people will once again be blessed with radiance, splendor, honor, and glory. So Haazinu is a very interesting parsha. From one hand, Haazinu has a lot of rebuke, a lot of teichacha. And from the other hand, it also speaks about the final redemption. So if we're calling the parsha Haziv Lach, that the radiance will be ours, we're focusing on the Geula part. We're focusing on how there will be something good that comes out of it. So, having mentioned the mnemonic, the Gemara interjects a comment. And Rav Chanan bar Rava said in the name of Rav, in the manner that the passages are divided here by the Levium, so are they divided for the Torah reading in the Shul. He's basically saying that the aliyahs that we do is the same way the Levium, that's the way the Levium sing in the Beis Hamikdash by Musaf.
That's problematic if you're doing a 3-year version versus a 1-year version.
A 3-year version of reading the Torah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the accepted minhag, but there is such a minhag to do it in 3 years.
Well, it was historically done in 3 years, and then they switched to 1 year.
They started doing it in 3 years?
Where did you
I didn't hear that.
In the time of the Midrash, they were doing it a 3-year cycle. Then they switched to the 1-year cycle.
In the time of the what? Midrash?
Yeah.
Never saw, I mean, maybe some were doing it, I never saw that as a standard.
What I've been told.
Interesting. I haven't heard
It
that
was
either.
originally done in 3 years in the marketplace, and then they switched to 1 year.
So that's
On the marketplace,
In the marketplace, they do it Tuesday, Thursday in a 1 year cycle, but originally.
you mean Mondays and Thursdays.
Right, so Monday, Tuesdays, Mondays, and Thursdays, yeah.
In the marketplace, because they couldn't,
So that's when people were getting together, and they were doing it, they're doing it.
that, but regularly, I'm not saying no to that, but regularly, it was a regular cycle. It was a 1 year cycle.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when they were doing it, so if they switched to the 1 year cycle by the time they wrote this, then yes.
No, I don't think it ever was a 3 year cycle in the beginning. It was a 1 year cycle from the beginning. From Sinai.
The Rambam says, minhag pashut, the well-accepted and widespread minhag, is to do it in 1 year. I don't know if there was a time that they did it.
Now, they might
right.
have been in the marketplace, but it wasn't the standard. That
Right.
was the exception, is what I'm saying. It was not a standard.
Yeah, Bob asked, is there a class today? Not sure if I can make it. He asked that at 10 of 8, so maybe you'll show up.
When did he ask?
At 10 of 8.
10 of
You
8.
must have not seen me.
Oh,
Okay.
I was worried. Yep. So we have here two things. We have the what they're saying by Musaf, and we have the Kriya Satira, and we're saying that they're divided the same way. Kederach Shechalukim Kan, just like it's divided by the Shira, it's also divided in the Shul. So we have to think about these two things. Why are we comparing them? The Shira of the Leviim to the reading of the Torah and Shul. And also, which way does it go? Does it start from the reading of the Torah, or does it start from the Shira of the Leviim? So that's something to think about. Because the way our Gemara says it is that just as it's divided by the Leviim, so too it's divided in Shul. So we'll get back to that soon. Now the Gemara returns to the subject of Shabbos Psalm.
Okay. Sorry, give me a second. Triennial cycle, background, Torah reading. Ancient triennial cycle. The Torah is divided into 54 parashah in the annual cycle. And the triennial cycle is divided into either 141, 154, or 167 parashahs, as evidenced by scriptural references and fragments of recovered text. The practice was to read each parsha in serial order regardless of the week of the year, completing the entire Torah in 3 years in a linear fashion. By the Middle Ages, the annual reading cycle was predominant.
What's the source of that? So,
I'll have to look up the source because I'm just reading the Wikipedia article. The source will be attached to the Wikipedia article. By the Middle Ages, the annual reading cycle was predominant, although the triennial cycle was still extant at the time, as no Jewish figures of the period, such as Benjamin and Tudela and Maimonides, reported. Dating from Maimonides' codification of his parasha in his work Mishnah Torah in the 12th century, CE through the 19th century, the majority of Jewish communities adhered to the annual cycle, but previously, as I said, they did in 3 years. And the reference for that is Jerusalem Talmud, triennial cycle, citing Megillah 29b, and then a bunch of research articles. Okay, here we go. Triennial cycle by Joseph Jacobs, written in the Jewish Encyclopedia. The triennial cycle was the practice in Palestine, whereas in Babylonia the entire Pentateuch was read in the synagogue in the course of a single year.
who was the original source there?
The source there is the article Triennial Cycle by Joseph Jacobs in the Jewish Encyclopedia.
What's it? Is it any? Have to look him up. Who
So
he is?
sure enough, he would have references.
Okay.
All right, so let's go back into here. So
I'm saying that before Babylonia,
Let's get back to this.
Hazivlach. So we're saying here that the parsha has to be divided this way. In the
I
Aliyah,
just want to say that that's important because we're saying is what the Levium did when the temple was standing.
yeah.
And so that was extant before Babylonia. So that's why, relating it to the single year cycle, when before Babylonia was done in 3 years, that's why I'm saying it's an interesting and possibly problematic thing.
We'll see something very interesting soon. The Gemara is going to discuss if maybe we should only read one section, one Aliyah each Shabbos. So that would, of these 6, that's, okay, so the Gemara returns to the subject of Shabbos Psalms. At Mincha of Shabbos, when they offer the afternoon Tamid, what psalm would the Leviim recite? Rabbi Yochanan said they recite the following 3 Torah passages. The first part is the Song of the Sea, Az Yashir, then Moshe and the children of Israel sing, the second part of the Song of the Sea, who is like you, Micha Maicha, and the Song of the Well, like it says, then Yisrael sang. This is about the Be'er of Miriam. The Gemara clarifies how the singing of these songs was arranged. They inquired, were all of these passages recited on one Shabbos, 6 for the Musaf, 3 for the afternoon Talmud, or on each Shabbos only one was recited, and the next Shabbos the next was recited, and so on. So,
I remember this from the Gemara.
You remember this?
Yeah. This is
Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah. This is in Rosh Hashanah. Right.
So,
This whole thing is in Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, that's what these are.
So this is an interesting question. Why would we even think, that we would do it? Should we do it all at once, or should we divide it? Come learn a proof, for it was taught in a brayso. Rabbi Yossi said, while the first cycle is recited once, the second cycle is recited twice. That is, in the length of the time that it takes to complete the Musaf cycle once, 6 passages in 6 weeks, the afternoon Talmud cycle is completed twice. Because the Musaf, the one is divided into 6 aliyahs, and the one for Mincha is 3. So by the time you finish 6, you already were able to do the Talmud cycle twice, which is 3 times 2. Learn from this that on each Shabbos only one of the passages or psalm was recited. And the Gemara concludes that it is a valid proof. Indeed, we can learn from this. So we see here that they would break it up, and each Shabbos they would only read one section of these 6 of Haziv Lach, and not all at once. They wouldn't do the whole Haazinu every week. They would only do one section. Now, something interesting, if they were to read the whole thing on one Shabbos, how would they know about these 6 different parts? Because it doesn't look like anyone argues that there are these 6 sections of Haziv Lach. So if you look at 23, if the Song of Haazinu or the Song of the Sea was indeed sung all at once, its parts would have to be divided by singing a different cadence at the end of each passage, changing musical instruments and sounding trumpet blasts. So, hi Reuven. So, let's see, do we have
Yeah, I brought one out. I wasn't expecting you. I brought 3.
So, Rashi is basically saying that you would still know, even if they would read all of them on one Shabbos, you would still know the difference. 152. So, even if you would read it all on one Shabbos, you would still know the difference because they would change the tune and they would change the instruments. So each aliyah would still be different.
They changed the instruments also.
That's what it says here, yeah.
That's, I don't know. Interesting.
Or they would mark the sections with trumpet blasts.
That's different than changing the instruments.
There's changing the trop, like the tune, and then there's changing the musical instruments. Yes, so that would be these different things. Just a little recap. So we're talking about the shir of the Leviim. Last time we were talking about what they did during regular Karbanos, and here we're talking about the Musaf of Shabbos, and we're saying that they would read parts of Parshas Haazinu specifically, and it was divided into 6 parts with the Rosh Tevis of Haziv Lach, and that's the way it's divided in Shul. They mention here in one of the notes that the aliyahs, we have the aliyahs a certain way. Sometimes there's different minhagim, like we find sometimes people stop at different points. And even Haazinu is like this, but it's supposed to have these letters of Haziv Lach. Okay, so this is the Gemara, but now we'll try to compare this with the Rambam. Today we were talking about the Rambam, no? We'll see how the Rambam discusses.
Okay.
So, Rambam Hilchos Tefillah. This is the Rambam Laws of Davening. Kol ha'oila likros b'Torah, paiseach b'davar tov, v'mesayim b'davar tov. This is a very nice rule in the Torah that every aliyah is supposed to begin with positive and end with positive. Aval, Parshas Haazinu, but Haazinu is not like that. Koirei harishain ad zachar yemais olam. The first aliyah is till the pasuk zachar, which is the Zayin. Hasheni maskil mezachar yemais olam ad yarkiveyu, hashlishi mevar yarkiveyu ad vayar Hashem vayinat. Harvi min vayarshim vayinat ad lu chachmu v'chamishi min lu chachmu ad ki esel shamayim yadi v'shishi mi ki esel shamayim yadi ad seif hashira. The Rambam is telling us the aliyahs. Now, if you look at the aliyahs in Haazinu, some of them are not so happy. They're strong rebuke in Parshas Haazinu. So the Rambam is saying that different than all the other aliyahs, where it's supposed to begin with positive and end with positive, Haazinu, not all the aliyahs are like that. So why would we stop at not like a positive ending? Because they're actually a rebuke. And that's supposed to encourage that we should return and do teshuvah here.
It's time for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur.
That's when we read Haazinu, right? Yeah. Right before Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur.
In the 1 year cycle.
What?
In the 1 year cycle.
In the 1 year cycle.
See, it's not trivial.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
if you can find me a place where they do it in 3 years,
I did. I didn't bother to find the other. I only showed you the first reference. I didn't go through the list of references that are in the Wikipedia.
I don't know of anywhere where they do it in 3
No, they don't anymore. That's the point. They stopped when we went to Babylon.
So we see here from the Rambam something interesting, that Haazinu is very much connected to Teshuvah. Now, if Haazinu is Teshuvah and some of them are Teichacha, they're strong rebuke, why are we singing this? Now, out of all parts of the Torah, this Haazinu is called Shira Haazinu. Usually song is connected to happiness, Shira and Simcha. So how does this work together? The Rambam is saying every other parsha has to be positive. Over here we break up the aliyahs in a way that it should be more musar, more teichacha, and then we call it a shira. How does that work? So that's a question here. How does teshuvah and shira work together? Now that's one place. That's the Rambam is talking about in Hilchos Tefillah. Then we have the Rambam in Tamidin Musafin, where he's talking about the way they did things in the Beis Hamikdash, and we're going to compare it to what it says in our Gemara. So Hashir Shayoim Alaviyim Aimrim. Okay, they say the Shir Shayoim. Let's jump to the second part. This is our Gemara, but where it says B'musfei Shabbos. We'll jump to the next paragraph. B'musfei Shabbos. And always, whenever the Rambam says something from the Gemara, there's always something that he changes. So we'll see. The Musfei Shabbos on Musaf, Aimrim Shiras Haazinu. V'cholken Aisol L'Shisha Prakim. It gets divided into 6 chapters, 6 sections. Haziv Lach. Haziv Lach. The Rambam mentions again these 6 acronyms. Kederech Shekairin Aisa Shisha B'Veis HaKnesses. Just as we read it in Shul, the way we divide the aliyahs. Va'imrim Perek B'chol Shabbos. We say 1 chapter each Shabbos. Gamru Hashira, when they completed the song, B'Shisha Shabbosais, in 6 weeks, Chayzrin L'Reish, we return to the beginning of Haazinu and start again. So do we see anything different in the Rambam than what we had in our Gemara?
Yeah, 1 segment instead of saying 2 segments, etc.
So our Gemara also concluded that each Shabbos we only read 1 segment. So that's how the Rambam paskins. But in the wording, if you look closely, so our Gemara said that just as they're divided by the Leviim, so too they are divided in Shul. The Rambam says it the other way around. He says,
just as it was written in the synagogue.
The Rambam starts off with the way it's divided by the Leviim and says, we do this as it is divided in Shul. Right. So what's teaching what? In the Rambam, we're learning the Leviim from the Shul, and in the Gemara, it's saying the other way around. Right. So who's teaching? And then another difference is, in the Gemara, it says, Chalukin B'Veis HaKnesses. They are split, they are divided in the Shul. The Rambam uses the words Kairin Aisa Shisha B'Veis HaKnesses. We read it in the Shul. And we can say that the Rambam is really teaching us and answering our question, how to look at Haazinu. Do we look at it more as a teichacha, as a rebuke, or is it a shira? So what's the answer? When you look at an aliyah, is it actually 6 different parts, or it's really 1 parsha, just 6 people are getting an aliyah? how do we look at it? Is the Torah actually, divided into 6 parts, or it's one parsha? Just 6 people get an aliyah. So, which way would you think?
Well, we read the whole parsha if we don't have 6 people who are eligible to come up. So
that
we either read multiple divisions, or people will read straight through the way through.
Michael.
We make divisions if necessary.
But we always read the whole thing. So I would say it's 1 divided by 6.
So really, it's one parsha, right? Yeah. And 6 people get an aliyah. The Gemara even says that originally one person would make the bracha before, and at the end of the whole parsha, just later on, people were coming in late to shul, leaving late, and they didn't know if they were making a bracha, so then they instituted that each person should get an aliyah and make a bracha. But originally...
each person laid their own aliyah.
And if it was a triennial cycle and it was divided into 150 aliyahs instead of 54, then it would have been different, it wouldn't have had 6 people.
Maybe you could divide it still into 6. I don't know. You only need 3 psukim to make an aliyah.
Only 3.
Yeah.
But it would take 3 Shabbases to read 1 parsha.
Listen, David, if you
So
go to
listen, that's important. It would take 3 Shabbases to read 1 parsha. It took 3 years. Because we read.
Yeah.
So obviously it's more important. The parsha is more important than the people.
Well, wait a second. If you go to a Sephardi bar mitzvah,
you could get a ton of aliyahs.
I've been there.
I did that for Daniel's. We had Daniel.
You can wind up with, depending on the length of the parsha, literally dividing 3 psukim right down the highway.
We did that for Daniel at Daniel's bar mitzvah because Alan Lewis was like, "Go ahead, do it." So we did it, and in fact, when we ran out of aliyahs, we just started repeating it.
Yeah, I saw it in Tiberias.
And we do that on Simchas Torah.
So that we add aliyahs, yeah.
That's just repeating.
Right, but I'm saying the parsha is the parsha.
The parsha is the parsha.
The parsha is the parsha, and the aliyahs are...
The readers can be many.
Yeah. You can have one guy span 2, if you had only one,
Yeah, the readers can be many.
So let's go back to So let's go back to our question over here. So we said the Leviim, what are they doing? They're saying a part of Haazinu, and they're singing music, they're playing music, and they're all happy. And what are they reading? They're reading Musar. How does that make sense? You're reading a teichacha while playing the instruments and blasting, what's going on? How is it a shira? Why are you picking? And the Rambam says that this is the only aliyah that does not have to end with a positive thing. So why would you be singing that separately? Now we understand actually the other reason to do it all at once, but why would you do each part separately?
They're elevating everything.
I would theorize it's because they're in the Beis Hamikdash. So even though the rebukes say these terrible things will happen to you if you don't follow my ways, there they are in the Beis Hamikdash, Kayam, and they're following, they're saying these are horrible things, but look at us right now.
But we're in the Beis Hamikdash.
Yeah, we're making it happen.
Okay.
So that's a reason to rejoice even in the face of rebuke.
Basically they're elevating. They're taking, and we learn this. You take the rebuke, and you can look at the other side of it.
Turn it into a shira.
Turn it into a shira. Is exactly what they're doing.
So that's a nice idea of elevation, transformation.
Which parsha is it that's full of rebukes where if you change where the sentences end, it turns into brachos?
So it says that about all the teichachas. It's in Kisavai and in Bechukoisai, and then you have Haazinu. So this is interesting. So that's a true thing, that it's being in the Beis Hamikdash, they're elevating it. But also, how do you look at each section? Do you look at it as something for itself or as part of the bigger parsha? Which means a big part of Haazinu is beautiful. It's talking about what's going to happen in the future, talking about good things. There's some aliyahs, a few aliyahs, which are not so happy. So if you look at it not as something for itself, but part of the bigger picture, then everything is a shira. Because you don't look at the bad things by itself, you look at it part of what it's leading up to. And that's what the Rambam is hinting to us. The Leviim divide it as we read it in Shul. Just like in Shul, nobody thinks that it's a separate thing, not connected to the rest of the Parsha. In Shul, we know that it's one Parsha. So the Rambam says, just as it's divided, just like we read it in Shul. The Rambam doesn't say the way it's divided in Shul. If we look very closely, the Rambam says, Kederach shekayrin oisa shisha beveis hakneses. Just as in Shul, we know that it's part of one big parsha, part of one big shira, when the Levim are only singing one part, but you have to know that the next 6 Shabbosim are all connected. That's what the Rambam is coming to teach us. So this is in general, like sometimes we look at something and there's something negative, but if you look at the bigger picture, what's going to happen later and what it's leading up to, it's really all...
It's a good thing we have those gradings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why the Rambam says it the other way around. That basically the Torah is teaching us to the song of the Levium. That just like in the Torah we know it's one parsha, it's all one thing, one shira. So even when the Levium are only singing one part, we know that it's all connected, and that it's really one big thing. It's all connected to shira. Now. Shira Chadasha. Now the words Haziv Loch are very interesting. The radiance is yours. What is that teaching us about Haazinu? This Rashi Tevis Haziv Loch. So there's a lot of different reasons what's behind this Rashi Tevis. It's amazing how even an acronym there's so much into what spells it. So if you look on this paper here, still on this in the copies. So the first thing is Lashon Ziv Va'or V'Zohar. What's Ziv? Ziv is radiance. Takanas Ezra. Shmuel, I'm reading from this. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Zohar is light. Haziv ve'Hazohar l'chayo elamin. V'mitakanas Ezra. Sheyachzer Haziv v'Zohar liYisrael. The light and the radiance will return to the Jewish people. Shekein Shiras Haazinu hi Nechama Gedola. The song of Haazinu is a great comfort. V'havtacha be'inyan hageula. It's a promise about the redemption. Uvenikmas Yisrael mi'oveim, how we will take revenge from our enemies. Ubekaparasa me'aveneseim, and
our sins will be
atoned and forgiven. So that's one idea, that Haazinu is our light. Haziv Lach, this is the radiance of the Jewish people. That's why we're singing, the Levim are singing it. Now,
so what it's saying then is that the rebukes will happen, but we will transcend them. Is the whole message of Haazinu, and that's why taken as a whole is positive?
Yes, that's the idea. Basically, Haazinu actually incorporates the whole history. The whole history.
From the ups and downs. Okay. From the ups to the downs, back to the ups. Okay.
And we're saying is that it's one parsha. That even the downs are part of that. That one idea.
The life cycle of the Jewish people.
And the whole world, yeah.
Positive, but in this case, it's not good.
Basically, don't look at the negative as something separate from the rest of the parsha. Look at it as one. Yep. Now this.
Eventually, look at it as all positive.
Yes. If you remember, it's all part of the same parsha.
It's all positive.
Yeah.
Even though it looks so negative.
Exactly.
Well, as they say, when Mashiach comes, we'll look at the whole history and see it all in a good light.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's pointing at.
So now the second remez, this is very interesting. This connects to, we mentioned that Haazinu is during the time, again, if you're reading the Torah in 1 year, this connects to the time of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And if you take the numbers, now we're going to do a little gematria.
Where are we?
So this is 2. We're going into Haziv Loch. Tipologim, Shonim Saviv. Truth, I'm not even sure. It's more an Ivrit word than a Hebrew. Tipologim sounds like a modern. It's a modern Hebrew. It sounds like an English word. Tifologi. I don't know.
Zefloigim. Yiddish means to fly.
Zefloigim.
Zefloigim, you know what I mean? In Yiddish, that's what it would mean, but a is separation. It also has a...
Like Peleg, like divided. Yeah.
Divided, it has the root word.
And what's the next word?
Shonim. It's talking about, we'll see from the context, maybe we'll figure out.
Dividing the years.
Luach Hashana HaYehudi, about the Jewish cycle. Hey, what's the hey? Chamisha Shekarim B'Torah Rosh Hashanah Shechol B'Chol. How many people get an Aliyah on Rosh Hashanah if it's during the weekday? 5.
So what is it's talking about the division. Plugim.
No, they're
No, I know he's on to the next thing.
Possibly,
It's-
yeah.
but it's possibly
Keneged
means-
Mesabel HaPelugim. What is the word next word? Shonim.
Shonim, different. So Shonim is already different.
Shonim. Savim Ruach Hashana. Okay, got it.
Which goes around.
So what it means is, in respect to the different divisions of the Torah Parshios and the different times of the year, on Rosh Hashanah we have 5.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Now we got the idea. So Zion 7 is Shiva Shakir Rosh Hashanah Shechol B'Shabbos. If Rosh Hashanah is on Shabbos, you got 7 aliyahs. Yud, what's the 10? Asara Yom Mishmar Shana Yom Kippur, the 10 days of Tshuva. What is Vav? Shisha Kruim B'Yom Kippurim Shechol B'Chol. If Yom Kippur is on a weekday, then you have 6 aliyahs. What is Lamed? 30. Shloishim Tkiyos Shetaykim Rosh Hashanah. You have the 30 blowings.
The rice.
Deraisa, yeah. Then we have the Rabbanan. We have much more.
Yeah, much more. Another 70.
Now, now what's 20? This is interesting. Most people don't do this, but he says.
If you don't follow the brisket, then it's even more.
Yeah. So then you have what's 20? Esrim Yoim Shemisanim Bahem Hayechidim. That there is individuals, special people that fast 20 days. Asara Yomim Lifnei Rosh Hashanah, 10 days before Rosh Hashanah. Vasara Yomim Bin Rosh Hashanah L'Yom Kippurim, and the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. I don't really know anyone who does this, but it says here that there are certain Yechidim, individuals, that they fast for 20 days, 10 before and 10 after.
Some of those are gone to those guys.
So this is really amazing. What are we doing here? We're taking Haazinu, and the name of the first letter of each aliyah, and the first letter of each aliyah tells us about the time of year, which is Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and you have these different aliyahs and numbers that correspond to. Yes, this is very interesting remez. A third reason, this is funny, I still haven't fully figured this out, but it says, Kidei shelo yiskoitetu im a balkaire. They shouldn't get into a fight with the Gabbai or the balkaire, im tipol kriyasam b'teichacha. Because what if you get an aliyah, and it's one of these aliyahs that don't end good and don't start good? It's like, Gabbai, why did you give me Revi? Why did you give me Shlishi? So we say Haziv Loch. You know, there's a beautiful Rosh Hashanah. It's light, that we shouldn't start a fight in Shul. Right. Haziv Loch. We gave it this nice Rosh Hashanah. You said, you got an aliyah on Haziv Loch. It's not like I got this bad aliyah of teichacha. It's part of the light.
Well, we have part of that in the chachomas here. People on the abima, and in the old days sometimes things could get hot.
I read a Jewish joke, and there's some point of the service, and one faction of the shul says, "No, it's done this way." And the other faction of the shul says, "No, it's done this way." And every Shabbos they have this fight, and it almost comes to blows. And finally, the president's had enough. He says, "Look, I know a guy. He's in a nursing home. He was in this shul for 80 years. He's the old congregant. We should go to him and get an answer." So a representative from each of the two groups and the rabbi and the president go to this nursing home, and they find this 102-year-old man, and they go to him and say, "So there's a question. Do we do it this way?" He says, "That's not the tradition." They go, "Oh, okay. So we do it this way." He goes, "That's not the tradition." "Well, we're fighting about it. He goes, "That's the tradition."
It's in the wall.
So there you go. So there shouldn't be fighting.
So
I'm not eating in the sukkah. I'm a ratzim.
What's this?
When you stop eating in
Oh,
the
the 8th
sukkah.
day? Yeah, the 8th day.
Shmini Atzeret said that some start before the night before. Right. Oh, yeah.
The fight over going,
okay, number 4, another. So this is amazing. That why are we making this Rosh Hashanah in order to take care of a fight in Shul? Okay, 4 is Keremez al Zivay v'Hadroi Shel Moshe Rabbeinu Shekaran Panav. When we say the light is yours, who's yours? The light is whose? We're saying here it's the light of Moshe Rabbeinu because the radiance was his. What does that mean? We know that Moshe Rabbeinu, he was the one, and they explain a little bit more in the additional references. If you look on the page over here, it says Moshe Rabbeinu growing up as a child in Egypt. It says establish Shabbos as a day of rest. he was the one who told
Sorry, where are
Paro.
you?
This is in the additional references on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
It says that Moshe Rabbeinu, growing up in Egypt, established Shabbos as a day of rest, and Moshe passed away on Shabbos. The mnemonic, the radiance is yours, is most fitting, for on that day Moshe's radiance departed. So we know that Moshe is very connected to Shabbos. So that's another thing of Hazivlach. And it says it was orated by Moshe, whose face was radiant ever since the time Hashem spoke to him. So according to this, Hazivlach is referring to Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, back to these pages over here. Tam Naisaf, an additional reason, Shashisha Chalakim Elu, Heim Keneged Sheshis Alafim Shana Sha'elam Kayam. That these 6 aliyahs,
What's that time Yosef mean?
an additional reason.
Sheshisha.
Chalakim Elu, these 6 parts, Heim Keneged Sheshis Alafim Shana Sha'elam Kayam. They correspond to the 6 millennia, the 6,000 years that the world, every part of Haazinu corresponds to another 1,000 years. V'chol chelik roimez ala chelik kahu. Each section of Haazinu connects to one of the 6,000 years.
So the final section, Ikvei HaMashiach.
Yeah, so that's Shishi.
Yes, exactly.
I'm talking about this. Now,
That relates to what we discussed last week.
yeah, exactly. That's what we were talking about. This 1,000 year of Charuv, of destruction. Okay, now I found something. This Ma'aser Rekeach. It's more of a Ma'aser Rekeach. More of a Kabbalistic explanation. He says like this: Hayil da'asi liyadan medrash rabba hanal nema b'milsa. He says we're talking about a medrash.
What is that?
So the truth is, he was talking about something else. He was talking about Arla. And he says, once I mentioned the Medrash, Hayil da'asi liyadan, since it came to our hands, this Medrash, Nema b'milsa. Let me add something to this. It's like, it's on topic, so let's go. Elaborate. So he brings here a Medrash. Amr of Shmuel bar Nachman. Kol toldos shebeTorah chaserin. Every time it says the word toldos in the Torah, it doesn't have 2 vavs. It's missing a vav. If you see the way it's spelled here, you have the vav after the taf, but not after the dalid. So it's missing a vav. Bar min train. There's 2 times in the Torah that the word toldos has 2 vavs. And these are Eila toldos hashamayim, in the beginning of creation, the Eila toldos peretz. And we know who comes from peretz, Mashiach. So why is it usually missing? There were 6 things that were taken away from Adam. Ve'elohein zivai, his light, his radiance. Chayav, his life. His long life. Kaimasai, his height. Pri haaretz upriya ilan, the fruit of the earth and the trees. Uma iris, and the light.
What light is the second light?
Ziva is his radiance. Ma'iris is it says that in the beginning of creation there was no darkness. It was just light.
Light of the world.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, but there was Erev Revoker, so how was there no light? How was there always light?
That's a good question. And maybe on Shabbos, the truth is I'm not sure exactly what the Ma'iris is referring to. But you have to look into that.
Probably his ability to see from one end of the world to the other. His personal vision. Was
that could be because
that
they had the idea that light emanated from the
right,
eyes.
which was significant for Adam Rishon. I mean, there was nothing like that.
Yeah, he was able to see.
He was able to see, so his personal light was taken away from him.
Yeah.
And until the time of the Greek, people thought maybe that the eye radiated rays that will cause things to be seen.
I mean, even from a Kabbalistic, but even from a sense, you look at it as you go up your body. Look how far your eye can see. So you can imagine your arms can throw so far, your legs can walk so far, your ears can hear. Your eyes can see the sun, the moon. Can you imagine Adam Rishon's eyes, what he saw? But unbelievable. So that's
Kumasi.
Yeah.
So
his light was taken away from him. That's what I think anyway.
Okay, that's a good shot. So the Ma'iris, so there's 6 things that were missing. That's why in the Torah they're always missing. But when is it complete? Where do you have both vavs? Ben peretz. Until the son of Peretz comes, Hainu Mashiach ben David, that's when he will bring back these 6 things.
Peretz is the ancestor of David, so by extension is the ancestor of Mashiach, or does it go further in Torah?
It doesn't say. It just speaks about Peretz, and then we know that from Peretz David comes.
We know David came from Peretz because that's at the end of Rus.
Yes.
But Mashiach coming from David we have by a different tradition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yu'in sham sheherich v'hevi kula mikroi. It says, look over there in the Medrash, and the Medrash actually brings a proof for each one of these 6 that they were missing and how they will be returned. V'ayin sham b'yifei Torah, look in one of the commentaries, shekasav lefi signin agada zoi, shehevi ha-rav shintes, maybe Rav Shem Tov, kachashiv pri aretz or pri ilan b'chad, he considers and counts the fruit of the tree and fruit of the earth as only one of the 6. Yes. The kachashiv gan eden shagurash adam misham.
Did you see the thing I sent you about the bread tree?
I didn't see, but they say the tree was.
There is a modern tree that has no cellulose in its wood, and it is sliced, cooked, and eaten. It is a tree that's in the world today, not just cinnamon bark, but there is a tree now where the flesh of the tree is eaten as food.
There's a whole thing brought down.
I sent you guys an article on it.
Yeah, chita.
You saw it.
I saw it, but I didn't.
You didn't read it?
No.
I sent it to you too. I may have sent it to you.
Yeah, I think it was on the group. I think he posted on the group.
That was fascinating. That there's literally in the world right now, there's a tree you can slice and eat.
Okay, so now.
Actually grown?
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, they call it the bread tree.
So now, how do we get back to Hazivlach? So we brought this medrash about the 6 things that were missing from Adam Harishon. Now he says, "Al Pizeh," second paragraph, "Yashavti betuv tam." Now he explained very well how the Isa beGemara Rosh Hashanah. This medrash is going to explain our Gemara. Sheparshas Haazinu mechalkel neshisha chalakim, that we divide Haazinu into 6 parts. Hein b'mikdash, both in the Beis Hamikdash, v'hein b'Beis HaKnesses, and also in Shul. V'siman hazivlach, and we give the sign. V'tzarech tam, and he asks, Lama be'emes mechalkim dafka l'shisha chalakim? Why specifically 6 parts? Why not 7? 7 is a better number. V'gam Rashi aparshi is heim dafka hazivlach. Why this remez? Ulefi medrash anal, but according to this medrash, meyushav betuv tam, we could explain it beautifully. Shekvar kasav Rabbeinu Hagadol HaRambam, because we know what our great rabbi, our great master, the Rambam, Lama paiskim minyanim elu. Why do we stop by these parts? Meishem divrei teichacha sheyachzeruham b'tshuva, because it's all about doing teshuva. That's what the Rambam says. Vani ma'isef al dvarav. Now the Meiser Rekech says, I will add onto the Rambam's words. Shebeshira zui heid b'Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu testified. V'hischol mimais olam. He begins from the beginning of creation. K'may shekasav zechar yimais olam. He says, remember the days of history. They were almost finished. The sipur lam kol mashir lahem. And in Haazinu, you have everything that happened to the Jewish people, u'ma sheyera lahem, and what will happen to us, ad yimais HaMashiach v'ad seif yimei ha'olam, until the end of days.
So the Torah takes you Bereshis, and then Haazinu gives you the rest of the world.
But in Haazinu, it has also from Bereshis till the end of time. That's what it's saying. Everything is there.
I didn't know Haazinu included Bereshis.
Yes, Zechar Yemais Olam. And Hisra Bahem, and Haazinu is telling us, Sheyachzeru b'tshuva, that we should do tshuva, uletakin chet Adam Harishon, and we are going to fix the problem that Adam Harishon caused, ad sheyikwayim ha-pasuk, until the pasuk, which is written in Haazinu, it says, Hashem badad yanchenu, ve'ein imai kel nechar, that Hashem is going to guide us alone, and there won't be any idols, sheyav ruach hatumah min aretz, there won't be any evil and impurity in the world. So that's what Haazinu is about. Haazinu, according to the Rambam, is tshuva, and it's the whole history, and we're going to fix Adam Rishon. Says, why are there 6 parts in Haazinu? Because of the 6 things that Adam Rishon lost. And we will only get these 6 things back so Mashiach comes. Ve'asiman, what's the sign? Haziv lach. What's ziv? Ziv is the first of the things that Adam Harishon lost. It was the radiance. Sheziv hu rishon min hashisha dvarim, k'may shisa b'medrash anal. Just like the radiance will return, as yachzru kol hashisha dvarim. When Mashiach comes, we will get back all 6 things. V'hakol toloi b'tshuva shalachem. It all depends on our tshuva. So this is amazing. The Ma'aser Rekeach, before we said that Hazivlach is Moshe's radiance. Here we're saying it's Adam HaRishon's radiance. Because till Mashiach comes, we're missing the 6. We're missing the radiance. When Mashiach comes and we'll do Teshuvah, Hazivlach, we will get back the radiance and all the other 6 things. And it all depends on our Teshuvah.
That raises the question, was Moshe's radiance a remes or actually Adam Rishon's radiance?
Oh, that's connecting Adam with Moshe. There must be some connection.
Is it
Where
the same
else,
zid?
and here's another connection for you. Where else in the Torah is the vav missing in a few places only?
Yeshua? Yaakov. It says Eliyahu took it, right?
Yeah.
Eliyahu took the vav of
Eliyahu
Yaakov.
was the messenger for Mashiach.
Oh, so that's again the vav.
Again, the vav. That's why I brought it up.
Very nice. So we should have Hazivlach. We should have all the radiance back. All the
Okay, Shkoyach.
Asher Koyach.